if we have a look at some revision and review from the past exam, the section 2, we're looking here at question 29A, which was an 8-mark question, and the question was, discuss how toe-taps procedure is used to assess a soft tissue injury. If we have a look at our syllabus, we can see that the assessment of injuries under the toe taps section there, that dot point is the one we're targeting here at the moment. Talk, observe, touch, active and passive movement, and a skills test. And the students will learn to perform assessment procedures to determine the nature and the extent of injury in simulated scenarios. In this particular question, we're also looking at soft tissue injuries, which would include tears, sprains, contusions, skin abrasions, lacerations, blisters, and the inflammatory response. But we're looking at, in particular, those soft tissue injuries for the application of toe taps. The syllabus dot point we've looked at. Now we have a look at the key term, and it's a discuss. The key words in terms of a discussion, what we're required to do in this discussion is to identify issues and provide points for and against. And I'll quickly go over where the major confusion was, or the major problem that some boys had, and it was for the key term above, and it was described. Some boys made a description rather than a discussion. So the description encompassed characteristic and features of, rather than with the discussion identifying the issues and provide points for and against. That was the major area where people let themselves down. If we have a look at now the marking guidelines, what were things we were looking for in terms of how to get that top band mark, and quite a few boys did, to discuss how toe taps procedure is used to assess a soft tissue injury. So you would discuss how that happens, what is the process that you should go through, starting with the first T with talk and working through each of those subsequent letters of the acronym. We would looking at just demonstrating a thorough knowledge of the injury assessment procedures. The other major part is providing in a clear and cohesive manner, and then of course illustrating with relevant examples. That's the things there that we're looking for. In terms of your sample answers, the things that you needed to discuss, so you did need to carry out this discussion, was to talk and provide the example with questioning. So how things like can you recall what happened? Where does the injury hurt? Do you have pins and needles? The observe section was to compare the injury to the other limb, or to look for any factors that may cause alarm in terms of discoloration or factors that would suggest that there is an injury there. The T for touch, test the changes of temperature, and you could also look at for other deformities that exist there through maybe swelling. Active movement, quite a few boys got this section wrong and put active and after passive, but the active movement is the first one there, and we're looking at analysing the range of movement and pain level. So can the player actually move the injured part on their own, and what sort of movement do they have of the injured body part? Passive movement, again using movement to look at if the player is able to move that injured part through its normal range of motion. This is done through the assistance of the sports trainer or the medical officer. The skills test is the final part of the acronym here, and carrying out a test that is relevant to the sport, that would allow a judgment to be made about whether or not the player would be able to return. So specifics, an agility test, a tackle in rugby league. Those sorts of things may be applicable in this particular part. Reference needs to be made to toe taps being a progressive assessment procedure. And what we mean by that is that you must be able to get through each of the stages without pain. If there is pain present, then you would stop immediately that part, and that would then make your decision about whether or not you are going to continue play for the individual. So those were the major things we were looking for there. You would again obviously talk about the reasons why each of those steps would be carried out, and the benefits or the reasons for and against of carrying out those particular aspects of the toe taps procedure. If we have a look at a sample answer here, the sample answer goes, first thing you'll notice is it's straight into what the procedure is, the toe taps procedure. The other part is that was really effective with this answer is they identified an injury that maintained consistency right through each of the stages. Another problem that some boys had was choosing different injuries for each of the different stages as their examples, and which lacked clarity. So this particular response, we can see that the hamstring tear or the hamstring injury is the one that has been discussed, and you'll notice that that's been discussed from start to finish. First point is the torque and the injury in terms of what the questions have been asked. There's reference to observe, why we would do the observation, how we would do the observation for the injured hamstring. The touch, you can see in this answer they've made a change of tact, and that's okay if you do that. Mark will probably still have a look at it, but that's fine. You won't lose marks if you make an adjustment there. Active movement is discussed here, very clearly pointed out. The passive movement, the progression there, and lastly the skills test, again in relation to the hamstring injury.